for our fall updates webinar, not weather, 2025. We hope you are nice and cozy and warm and ready to learn some great new updates we've had this fall here at Eduphoria. Just our usual nuts and bolts. I'm Dr. Allison Ross. I'm going to be your moderator as well as your uh, beacon person to be talking about beacons today. And on our call, we have Dr. Jeremy Wagner and amazing, not a doctor, Shanna James. So, if you noticed how we did our names, it was our fun joke for today. So we are so excited to bring you these new updates that we've had to our apps for this uh, fall. Words, right? Okay, so this is being recorded. You'll receive the link to this 48 hours after broadcast along with the slides. Please always check out our content on youtube.com/Eduphoria videos. We've got so many great playlists, little nuggets that are like a few minutes long, just to give you, some pointers, or you can watch entire broadcast of previously aired webinar content. Um, Please utilize the Q&A window, and here's why. After today, we're able to pull the Q&A and see the great questions that you ask because we're going to be covering all three products today. The questions are going to be coming from different places, so please make sure you use the Q&A so that we have those questions captured and are able to take those with us. Use the chat for shout outs, for answers to the icebreaker, and here in a second, things like that. But Q&A, questions about the content within the webinar, please use that Q&A window so that we can answer you and as well as share out what's going on. Our objectives are, first, we're going to be talking about using auto calculations for student mastery, as well as reviewing online testing. Then we're going to be delving into unpacking Bluebonnet learning within Eduphoria, which will also lead us into some nuggets about Beacon, as well as previewing the new Strive. So, oh, and here's our quick agenda. It's really bare bones because we've got some good things packed in and we don't want to give it away all of a sudden. So let's think about, we just came off of our week of Thanksgiving. We're headed into Christmas. I will tell y'all that I am in a very snowy part of the world right now. And so I am all about warm drinks. So in the chat, what is your beverage you grab to relax? So is it a delicious coffee? If it's a hot tea, is it wassail or a spice cider? Or maybe you just like water. I mean, I taught with a lady that loved to drink hot water, no lie, with a little bit of lemon in it. And it kind of made her day. Um, oh, coffee, yes. Ooh, wassail. I know there's a lot of wassail lovers in this world, more than I thought. See, Andy. And I will tell y'all in the winter, I do not drink that much water, and I probably should. Yes, there are if your drink is not listed or school appropriate, there's always the it's not up there. So that's a great answer as well. Oh, I see a lot of coffee drinkers. Can you even be in education without drinking coffee? I don't know. I don't know. So, okay, these are all great responses, y'all. Oh, Texas pecan coffee with Cinnabon creamer. Wendy, thank you so much for giving us this recipe. I gotta definitely try that. That is delicious. It sounds so good right now. Well, without further ado, as we're all thinking about our warm winter drinks, yes, Jamie, that is a great beverage. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Wagner.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Ross. I have to pause for just a second. And Wendy, if you want to email me a link to that cinnamon creamer, I've never seen that, and I must have some. That sounds absolutely amazing. It's Jeremy W. at eduphoria.net. All right. So apologies. Thank you again, Dr. Ross. So let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to talk about what is new with Aware first. There are a few things you may already be using in this update because they've been out, some of them for a little while, others not quite as long. But there may be a few things you just aren't haven't touched yet because you didn't know it was there yet, even though it's been out. So I've also got a couple of sneak peeks about things that are coming in the spring. So make sure you're paying special attention for that. So, student mastery got a big update this fall, but let's talk very briefly about the importance of mastery and why it is what it is and some of the important aspects of it. Back in 2023, we actually released Mastery, which was really a feature that was trying to help answer that question. How do I know when a student has learned a concept or a skill? And since then, the use of mastery trackers on the whole has had a pretty slow ramp up. So we know that mastery trackers allow teachers to do a deep dive on local assessments to see if their students have achieved mastery of a particular standard. Trackers themselves help teachers pull apart assessment performance or assessment data and pair that assessment data with observations or anecdotal things that happen in classrooms to help determine if a student does or doesn't, quote, get it. So if you're using mastery trackers, or if you aren't using mastery trackers, I really want to spend just a couple of minutes giving you a quick summary about what they are and how powerful they are. And those of you that have tried mastery trackers and haven't used them in a while, I'm hoping our new release is really going to open your eyes and help you feel like, okay, I want to go give that a try again. So here's the summary. The point of a mastery tracker is to see how students perform on individual standards using the latest information that you have. Once a tracker is made, the default view is called the student summary view, which is what we have a picture of here. This is the homepage, so to speak, for individual trackers. On the left side, you see a list of students, and across the top, you see the standards. Each standard can be assessed for mastery in isolation, kind of going down the list student by student, or across a row for one student for every single standard. Notes can also be added for each mastery entry to provide any kind of context that the teacher feels necessary. So, for example, a mastery perception might be entered that doesn't match the data in a tracker because maybe a classroom observation of what the student was capable of doing justifies that mastery. So, make a note about what is seen in the class and back that up with perception. Users can also toggle between displaying data either as a raw score or as a percentage, so worth calling that out towards the top right. It's also worth calling out in this, if you've never used Mastery before, we have two different columns for the data. There's the latest raw and the total raw. The total raw is the aggregate for that particular standard across all assessments that you have attached to the tracker, whereas the latest is the most recent time that that standard was tested, because some standards we spiral throughout each of our assessments. There's also the standard view and an assessment view, which are also super helpful. The standard view lets the teacher see one standard at a time versus the assessments that have that standard in the students. And then the assessment view isolates one assessment at a time and then shows the standards for that assessment by student. While those views are very powerful, likely the most helpful and the one we see here in this picture is the mastery overview. The mastery overview is a lot like the mastery report card. So within the mastery overview, we see assessment total scores that have been aggregated for those particular standards by assessment. They're separated out by the depth of knowledge averages, but you can also combine those depth of knowledges. The total raw averages across all tests are provided in a column kind of second to the right there, so you can get a really big picture of kind of how are the kids doing on average for those assessments or those standards. And then the mastery distribution by percentages helps you see what is the distribution of those mastery determinations across all instances of that data. And so, why is this so important? Mastery as a tool really helps us connect what's going on in the assessment to what's happening in the classroom and what's happening with the standards. So, it's really important to call out when using mastery trackers. You really need to have those deep dive conversations in something like PLC teams to really tackle, like, what is the standard intending for us? So, with this example, we see a question that says select the one hot spot that serves the energy source for the water cycle. In the water cycle here, this interaction is actually really powerful. It's a hot spot. Kids are getting engaged with the question. They're interacting with it, not just answering a multiple choice. But when we look at the actual standard, it says describe and illustrate the continuous movement of water above and on the surface of the earth through the water cycle and explain the role of the sun as a major source of energy. Well, here the standard says we need to describe and explain, and those are DOK level 2, whereas this question is identification. It's DOK 1. Knowing that within the assessment and knowing what the standard is actually trying to get the student to do, it helps you determine mastery because you might have 100% of kids get this particular question right. And if that's the only time this standard was tested, can you genuinely say that the students have mastered it? So this kind of thing helps within mastery trackers, helps you call out what is it that the kids are and are not capable of doing. All right, so that was the recap. Let's get on to the cool part. What's new with mastery? Well, we've added the ability to automatically apply mastery determinations or automatically calculate mastery determinations. We noted that since the release of mastery, the usage just wasn't really high. So after getting feedback from our users, which is you all, we heard one very large common piece of feedback. Mastery felt like another grade book, and it took a lot of time to use. Well, that definitely was not our goal or intention. So we built a way for teachers to hit a button that would calculate mastery and auto-populate the mastery determinations for them. And you may ask, what if I, as a teacher, disagree with the calculation determination? We built it so that teachers can still override the mastery determination. You can see in the image here that some of the mastery determinations have a little blue dot in the top right corner. Those are the ones that have been manually set. We've built it so that the manually set determinations are not overridden by auto calculations. But you might also ask, this is really cool, Jeremy, but how are the determinations calculated? District administrators with appropriate rights can actually set mastery thresholds a lot like you can set performance levels on a test. I'm going to show you that here in just a second. We've also built in the ability for a district to opt into or opt out of using these calculations because local practice may require that mastery should be handled in a very different way. As a teacher, to see the thresholds, in order to see the thresholds for those mastery perceptions, you can actually go to the overflow menu, which is the three dots up there at the top of a tracker, and click a new option that's there that's called the mastery calculation settings. Here you get a pop-up modal that looks much like the performance level interface for author on assessments. If you don't see this option, your district may have this function turned off. So from there, you need to maybe communicate appropriately within your organization to see if that's something your district is interested in utilizing. From here, also, you can see the three mastery levels set by the district and the three cut scores for each. The thresholds are compared to the total raw score, not the latest raw score, so it's worth calling that out. This is why it was so important for us to make sure that teachers could override a determination. If a student wasn't getting it for, say, two assessments in a row, but then got it on the third assessment, then that student might not have a very high total score, but have a perfect latest score. So overriding was really critical. Note here within this image, there's also a reset button. When clicking that, you're given three options to either reset all mastery, reset user set mastery, or reset calculated mastery. I'm going to talk about those. So what do each of those options mean? When you choose to reset all mastery, it actually resets all mastery determinations regardless of whether they were manually set or auto-calculated. If you choose user set mastery, it will only reset the mastery levels that were set by the teacher manually. And if you choose calculated mastery, it will only reset the mastery levels that were auto-calculated. It's also worth calling out here, I forgot to mention this a second ago, any mastery that's set manually is not overridden when a calculate mastery button is clicked. So the manual ones stay until you tell them to clear. Now, these options provide an interesting layer of use depending on your local practices. Huntsville ISD partnered with us and did a great guest spotlight for us a few months ago. They mentioned that they'd be using the mastery resets as part of their normal practices to reset an entire mastery tracker near the end of the year, and then use auto calculations so that they could actually look at overall performances and create intervention plans and intervention groups based on those standard thresholds that they set. As a little icing on the cake, and this GIF is going a little quickly and it's a little small. Oh, did I miss? I missed a slide. Reset here. Did I miss? No. Yeah, there we go. Go back one. Awesome. Okay, for the person editing, here's your clap. All right, so as a little icing on the cake for Mastery, we also added the concept of focus standards to Mastery trackers. Currently, these are set manually by the teacher using a new setting in the overflow menu. In this UI, you can select which standards are the most important, adding a new filter to your Mastery tracker that will show you only the focus standards that you wish to configure for your tracker. This will help streamlining how you use Mastery so that you can limit a tracker down to only the standards that are most important for something like your remediation or enrichment efforts, rather than having to swim through every single standard that is tested no matter what. And then for administrators, we've moved the mastery management out of the old interface and into the student's setting gear or the cog in the left navigation. Now, users with the correct access will be they will see configure mastery thresholds as a button or an option there, where they are given an interface to enable or disable mastery auto calculations, rename those three mastery levels to whatever you want them to be for your district, and then set the thresholds for auto calculations. Note, this is a singular set of settings for all mastery trackers in your district. Consider any and all implementation conversations that should happen so that you can set thresholds and names to meet the widest array of instructional needs. All right, that's it for mastery. Let's move on to the Proctor panel. You may recall our quick review of the Proctor panel when we released it several months back during our 2025 spring release webinar. The Proctor panel added the ability for administrators to start and stop tests or make available or make unavailable for district administered assessments in a far more efficient way than it used to be doable. As a recap for the Proctor panel, you can see also here that you can see at a glance like the status of each of the tests, a breakdown of the statuses by test, and then there's a little bar within each name chip there that lets you see the various statuses by student percentages. And if needed, you can also print answer documents from here. As a close-up for that status bar, you hover over it and you actually see the percentage of the number of students by status, including not started, inactive, in progress, completed, graded. And of course, this isn't super live in the sense that it will update automatically, but you can refresh it at any point and get updated numbers. Now here's the update. What's new with the Proctor panel? We added an additional layer. You can now control assessments at the section level, allowing a test administrator to turn on tests by class section or class period if you happen to know your section numbers well enough. You can access the Proctor panel as usual by going to Administer in the left panel, then the Proctor panel tab, and then to get down to the sections, you select the test that you wish to administer by section. The UI will update and show you a list of the courses, similar to what we see here, for that test that can administer that test at the section level. We even supplied the period number in the table, but please make sure that those periods are configured correctly when they're coming in from your SIS so that they're accurate. Just like the larger Proctor panel, you have the ability to take actions like make available or make unavailable for the entire section, one test at a time. And you can see a little preview of the status of the test entries bar. This is particularly handy if you're needing really granular control over the availability of assessments for tightly controlled exams for things like the teacher incentive allotment. Don't forget to use the filters at the top if needed to search for schools, class periods, instructors, or statuses. Next up, we recently added the ability to see and use a selection of TI calculators for online testing. This has been widely requested for years, and we were able to finally make it happen. Texas Instruments has been instrumental in helping provide us with some of the technology needed to make these available for you. So, in addition now to the four types of Desmos calculators, which have not gone away, we have added the following TI calculators: the TI-84 Plus CE graphing calculator, the TI-84 Plus non-CE version, the TI-30XS Multiview Scientific Calculator, the TI-34 Multiview Scientific Calculator, and the TI-108 4-function calculator, which is my personal favorite because I used that one a lot in my science classroom back in the day. Sadly, we don't yet have the option yet for the TI Inspires, but we're trying to work with Texas Instruments to get that working, so keep your fingers crossed. You can select these calculators in Author, just like the other Desmos calculators, when you activate calculators as a setting for the assessment. As promised, here's a sneak peek to what's coming next for Aware. For years, some of you have been asking for the ability to import all of the items that your vendors sell to you with your curriculum. These would be great enhancements for your item banks that you provide to your staff to make assessments. Well, We've made what we're calling custom banks and built in a QTI importing solution in the custom banks to help you do exactly that. This experience is a brand new way to create item banks that are isolated in that aren't isolated into just your one local bank and don't have to be entered manually. Custom banks will be limited to just imported items, but they give you the ability to import items into banks either by grade level or by subject or however you want to organize your custom banks. So, for example, let's say your district has purchased HMH materials or McGraw-Hill materials. Often, these vendors might supply you with QTI packages as part of your purchase. If you have those packages and the correct rights to create custom banks, then you can import those packages and make those items available for your assessments. It's worth noting that the QTI version is important here. So if you're hearing this and thinking, I've got to go gather all of my QTI packages right this second so I can be ready when Eduphoria does release this, double check that the packages are at the QTI 2.1 or 2.2 versions. We can probably support QTI 1 point whatever, but it is a much older spec. And also note, not all items that are in QTI packages are going to be supportable. Like most systems, there are limitations that exist in some software that might not exist in others. But for the most part, you'll be able to get most of your items in as long as they follow the QTI specifications. Keep your ear close to the ground for updates on this. It'll be coming sometime in the spring, along with all of the resources necessary to get your district started with custom banks. All right, and potentially even more exciting, in the spring, we plan on releasing the first version of AI scoring for constructive response items. Keep in mind before you get too excited, this will be a limited feature set at first. It will be for constructive responses only, so no text entry yet. It requires a linked resource or reading passage, and it will be limited to the star informational writing rubrics for grades 3 through English 2. But it will score each trait separately and give you a combined score. It'll also give you and the student a score rationale and feedback to improve writing. We'll have the ability for teachers to override the AI score as well, and we have plans to add more in the future, including additional rubrics. If you're interested in this feature, make sure to check out and register for the AI scoring webinar on January 28th. We're going to take a deep dive into setting up AI scoring for your district, controlling security settings, talking about best practices for using AI scoring at both a district and a classroom level, and then show the teacher experience for how to actually use the tool. Please share this information far and wide. January 28th, come and see how AI scoring is being used. And even if you can't make that webinar, go ahead and register for it because you'll at least get the recording link emailed to you. This feature is huge and has a lot of implications. So you want to make sure that you're ready and have thought through all of the implications. And one more note, because I know this is going to be heavily asked, we're providing AI scoring with very generous usage caps as part of Aware Premium at no additional charge. More details on the usage caps and including options to purchase more if necessary are going to be coming in the spring. So keep your ears open for that. That's it for me. I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Ross.
Thanks, Dr. Wagner. And yes, I'm seeing some questions pop up in the Q&A window for Dr. Wagner concerning Aware. So if you have any additional questions you want to toss in there, we will get you some answers as we move into our next part of our wonderful presentation today. So let's talk about Bluebonnet Learning. This is a hot topic in Texas, and let's talk about how Eduphoria supports Bluebonnet Learning. So adopting high quality instructional materials requires more than making vetted curriculum resources available to classrooms. With student success at the heart of what we do, Eduphoria provides you with a comprehensive solution suite sorry, lost my place on words today, y'all. To drive district-wide results through planning decisions, effective teaching strategies, and aligned assessment. Your teachers will have the tools, data, and support to implement Bluebonnet Learning successfully from day one. Aware, Beacon, and Strive all work to support the needs at your school. Each is an important component of your implementation of Bluebonnet Learning, but when used together, they enrich the experience for your teachers and students. Aware includes access to Bluebonnet Learning assessments that are pre-built. This will save teachers time and ensure what is taught and what is tested are in alignment. This also means that the data views you routinely use are a reliable measure of student performance with these instructional materials. Beacon streamlines planning by allowing teachers to utilize Bluebonnet learning materials where they already plan. There is no longer a need to search multiple sites, workbooks, all that good stuff to find high quality instructional materials for lessons. Administrators are also have valuable insights on what standards are being taught, when they're being taught through the scope and sequence analysis. Finally, Strive connects with teachers with targeted feedback as they internalize and use these valuable materials for instruction and assessment. The pre-made walkthrough forms will highlight key areas to inform how well your adoption is going. If you only using one of these amazing tools, contact sales@eduphoria.net so that you can benefit from allowing your system to work better together. Right. So this summer and fall, we worked with Region 10 and TEA to get you access to the Bluebonnet pre-built assessments, now available in the pre-built test section in Aware. You can see in the image that you can access pre-built tests in the left nav, where you'll find the table of all of our pre-built tests. You can filter at the top to find what you're looking for, but it's worth noting that if you're needing Bluebonnet assessments, they're already there, y'all. This was a prelude to some new technology I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes, QTI importing, which Dr. Wagner alluded to. We went to a different direction this time. So instead of creating these assessments by hand, we took an import package called a QTI import that was created by Region 10 and imported all the tests and questions with a few uploads. As approval of new Bluebonnet assessments become finalized by the state, we'll continue to partner with our great friends at Region 10 to get you those assessments. Also in Beacon, this is a snapshot of Bluebonnet learning curriculum. So within Bluebonnet, we have what was released by the state as of July 2025, the Bluebonnet learning curriculum for math and RLA. So that content is available to y'all. For math, it's kindergarten through algebra 1, and RLA is going to be kindergarten through 5th grade, as well as that K through 3 foundational skills. And that is available to our Beacon clients. And if you are a Beacon client and you're like, wait, what? Please email me, email support@eduphoria.net so that we can make sure that you get that put into your Beacon system. And in Strive, we have our Bluebonnet Learning Walkthrough. So these are going to be based on TEA's Bluebonnet Observation Form and include the content areas of K through 5 RLA and then K through 5 math, as well as those secondary math courses that are in Bluebonnet. So very exciting partnerships with our Bluebonnet Learning to really bring Bluebonnet to your teachers and students and help you as leadership be able to support what the great things happening in your classroom as you're using these HQIM materials. So that brings me to my favorite topic, a Beacon. So we've got some Beacon releases, and if you're new to Beacon, let me tell you about a little bit about it. Beacon helps curriculum leaders build out high quality content, measure its effectiveness, and support teachers in delivering impactful lessons. Teachers can strategize and collaborate in a central location, ensuring seamless communication and instruction within and across teams. With intuitive management of both local and third-party materials, Beacon also simplifies curriculum planning. And also, when paired with Aware, schools can align assessments with their curriculum using real-time results to refine instruction. So it is such a great tool to be utilizing, especially I have a coaching background, so I love the implications for Beacon on coaching. It really saves our teachers time in planning, and it saves our coaches time in trying to figure out where those hot spots are that they need to lean into for support and who's moving and shaking and can serve as an exemplar. So I want to give y'all a few little nuggets of information on our new releases. So first of all, we have Save Templates, Save You Time. So your teachers are able to select a new template for every single day of the week. And I know you Forethought users are going, what? We had to lock into a template and commit all for the rest of the year. Well, commitment issues to templates are gone, y'all. We can have many templates. We can have a different template on any day. So as you can see here in this short little GIF, you're able to easily pop that template in there and begin planning. And you can select a different template. So you could have an A day, B day template. You can maybe, one thing that some of our clients are using is We're having that Monday be a day where we put all of our overarching concepts for the week. And so it's a Monday template. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are going to be that more basic template to look at. So that was a new update. And also it's a one click to pop open your templates. Teachers and admin can favorite their templates and have them easily added to the planner. So you can see that great update now within Beacon. Next up, I want to talk to y'all about copying and duplicating plans. Things happen. Snow, uh, water, acts of God, all these things happening in the world, right? So maybe we need to bump our plans for a day. So here with our new update, you're able to copy and duplicate your plan. So you can either move a plan to a day that doesn't have a plan, or you can duplicate a plan and teach it another day that doesn't have a plan on it. So this will really help you stay organized and on track with your lessons, as well as be able to ebb and flow with all those little things that happen, y'all. And like, change is inevitable. Next up, we have focused planning. So what I want you to see here is how you're able to go in and look at your elements and drag and drop them into your curriculum, from your curriculum explorer into your lesson planner. And so you're really able to be focused in on that one piece that you need to be making plans for, going in and seeing the goodies that are listed for that particular lesson set, as well as any accompanying resources. And finally, let's talk about how to monitor our scope and sequence. This is our first analysis tool to come out with a beacon. Super exciting. And you can see here that you've got some ratios. So bring back those math skills. I taught history, but we can look at those numbers or fractions, if you will. And what you're looking at here is you can see that when you see this number 2 of 7 underneath that bar. So you see you've got the start of school, and then underneath that, you've got 2 of 7. That means that there are standards designated for that unit of instruction located there in that green bar. And then 2 of 7 of preps for this Algebra 1 preps that you're analyzing are teaching the standards located within that unit of instruction. Pop over to Unit 1, where it's highlighted in green. We can see that 3 of 7 of those preps are teaching standards that are in alignment with Unit 1. So that makes me go, what's happening to my other 4 preps? When I click on that, I can actually see which teachers are in alignment with scope and sequence, and I can also see which teachers I need to have a conversation with about why what's happening. Help me understand how we're teaching our standards that are outside of our scope and sequence. So it's a really nice way to see where you need to focus your support and be able to guide your teachers, as well as look for those great exemplars. That's all for Beacon. Let's hand it over to the amazing Shanna James. What can you tell us about our new Strive updates?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot. However, this fall has been kind of quiet as far as actual releases in Strive, but that certainly doesn't mean that we haven't been doing a lot of work. The developers have been working very, very hard, and you will see that in our sneak peek coming up here in a minute. One thing that we did release is, let me see. One thing that we did get out there was our framework update. So this fall we released, it's basically a new user interface for managing, viewing, and building the frameworks. A nice little streamlined look. It's hopefully very consistent with what you will see in our new updates that I'm going to share with you in a second. I keep teasing, but hopefully it'll create a more intuitive overall experience for you guys. All right. So, what I'm going to share with you now over the next few slides is development that a lot of this has already happened, but we're not releasing it mid-year because we're in the middle of the evaluation year. We don't want to disrupt processes and forms and things that are already in place. And you already have your stuff set up for this year, right? So we are working and on I'm not transitioning well. Sorry about that. So Strive is getting a major and a much needed foundation repair. As you know, forms and process is the foundation of Strive. So as we started looking at how we could better support implementation, updating from year to year, as well as improving our coaching and feedback experience, we realized that we really needed to give our foundation a lot of love. So we've got our little Eddie here that's ready to work. So first up, we started with creating a completely new experience for the form builder. So those of you that have ever built a form in Strive know that it is a very painful process. So this, hopefully, you'll be in heaven. It's so easy and amazing. You can just drag and drop from the right-hand panel, build your form. You can collapse the questions. You can tag super easy your framework items to your question types. You can even change a form type, which I mean, those of you that also know the struggle of, oh, I have this observation form and I want to change it to a walkthrough. Well, sorry, you can't do that. You have to basically recreate it. So again, being able to interchange the form types, lots of wonderful work has gone into this. Okay, next up, you will notice when we first release this, you will have all the same question type options. One thing that I highlighted this here is you know that in our current form builder, you have the group with the check boxes, and we are replacing that now with a multi-selection option. So this one particular question, now you can have a multi-selection where you can have it all in one place. And you can even have include a text input there. You could have an other and have a text input. Or you could have your single selection. So now you currently build your single selection with the radio options in a matrix item type. So this will replace that if you want to have just one of those single select options. So this will definitely be a difference. Yeah, so did I say drag and drop? I mean, this is just an example of how easily you can move things around. You can expand them, expand all the questions out. You can collapse them. I just can't even tell you. It's so great how easy it is. In addition to the forms, we are overhauling the actual process, the appraisee type or the process builder. Currently in Strive, if you want to include coaching in your process, or if you want to have coaching forms, I know a lot of you have plugged in like a coaching step. But let's say you wanted to have a completely separate process and you want it not to even be connected to the formal process, you will now be able to create more than one process. You could have your formal process that has everything that you need, and then you could create a coaching process that could be a whole separate set of forms and information in that as well. So again, things that we would like to do to help support your coaching process or your plans. So if you want to skip to the next, there we go. For example, nope, sorry, go back. As I was talking about, you could have, it would look totally different. You would have all the things that you need for your coaching process. So again, so the question is, when is this going to happen? When can we release this? So as I mentioned, we don't want to put any of this out there mid-year. You already have everything built. You already have your processes in place. But as you get to getting ready for next year, we will be able to release this and you'll be able to start building all of your forms, your processes for next year. One thing that will stay intact is if you already have forms built, when we migrate, it will migrate the forms. We will also have, everything will transfer over. So what you have in your system now will transfer to the new user experience. So don't worry about that. But we'll also have some like predetermined Eduphoria recommended processes. So if you don't have a process set up now, or if you want a sample coaching process, we'll have a something that you can drop into your system easily, and it'll have everything set up for you. The one thing I do want to say is if you are a trailblazer and you want this, if you want to see it sooner than later, one thing we're open to user experience. If you guys want to set something up with us, we would love to let you play around with it. We could set up a demo and you could play with building forms, play with building. That would be a great thing too for us to get some feedback from you. But also if you want to be one of the first ones, if you're like, nope, we want to migrate, we want to do this now, then let us know, and we're open to any districts that would like to work with us on that. So that's all I have, but we're super excited for this.
So many great updates for Strive. It's so exciting to see. The form builder is my favorite. And we will definitely pass on the appraise hearts, claps, and little like trumpety horn things that y'all all made in the reactions. We'll pass that along to our design and engineering teams. They love the love. So with that being said, y'all, if there are any final questions, pop them there over now in the Q&A, or if they bubble up after the fact, please reach out to us, training@eduphoria.net.